Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Got a great story out of Canada sent to me by Bob, and it appeared in the Canadian news recently that a guy whose last name is GRABHER, 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 had gotten a personalized license plate with his name on it. And unfortunately, somebody objected and said, hey, this guy's license plate is encouraging some kinds of attacks on women or something. I mean, what else could it mean, GRABHER? Well, it's the guy's last name. So GRABHER is going to appeal the ruling that upheld the revocation of his personalized license plate. And, you know, I've had personalized license plates in the past. I might get one in the future. Right now, I don't. I've got the mundane ones with gibberish on them. But according to the Canadian press, and this appeared on ctvnews.ca, a Nova Scotia man plans to appeal the court ruling that upheld that province's decision to revoke his personalized license plate that simply read GRABHER. But that's all one word the way he has it, GRABHER. But of course, if you read it and you think it's two words, Lorne GRABHER says the province infringed on his freedom of expression, but the Nova Scotia Supreme Court said that constitutionally protected right does not extend to government-owned plates. And they say, look, we put the license plates out there for you to use, you pay for one, but you don't own it, we do. And it's actually more of an identifier for your car than anything else. Therefore, your right to complain about what is on it is limited differently than, say, if you had a bumper sticker that said GRABHER or a t-shirt that said something. GRABHER has had that license plate now for 30 years, but it was revoked in 2016 by the Registrar of Motor Vehicles after the agency received a complaint from somebody who said that they thought it promoted hatred towards women. In January, Justice Darlene Jameson decided that license plates are not public spaces where you get free expression. And again, this is in Canada, Canadian law we're talking about. Keep in mind that in America, license plates are issued by the state. We have 50 states. Each state has its own department for license plates, and they'll all have their own rules. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that in a second. The judge also said the registrar recalled the plate because it could be interpreted as a socially unacceptable statement without the benefit of further context that license plates cannot provide. Because you know you're limited by how many letters you get, or how many characters you get. Theoretically, you could have numbers. I understand that. The decision is not about whether Mr. GRABHER's surname is offensive. It is not, the judge wrote. A license plate, by its very nature, is a private government space. The primary function of a license plate is not expression, but is identification and regulation of vehicle ownership. So the idea that you can get one personalized, a vanity plate, they used to call them, that's a nice little bonus. You know, you got a supercar, cost you $300,000. Are you going to put a license plate on there that's got just a bunch of gibberish on it? You're going to find something cool to put on there, you know? The Calgary-based Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms, and you know they're in Canada because they spell center, C-E-N-T-R-E. They're supporting GRABHER. They say there's no evidence that anyone has ever been affected by GRABHER's license plate, ever gone out and committed a crime, ever gone out and done something bad as a result, ever tried to act out what they read on his license plate. That's always the argument. People will see it and go out and do what it says. The plate is an expression of the GRABHER's family pride over 3 generations, reflecting their German-Austrian roots and heritage, they said in a statement they released. There is no evidence that anyone, including the anonymous complainant, had suffered any harm as a result of the plate. There's no evidence that censoring Mr. GRABHER's name after 27 years of use on a license plate makes anyone safer. And of course, that's not the argument. But you got to make any argument you think will work. I had a law professor said you ride any horse going your way. So there you go. I can tell you that license plates, at least in Michigan, are supposed to be neutral when it comes to content of political or religious nature, believe it or not. And the thinking, of course, is that since the government is not supposed to get political on us, and it's also not supposed to promote or prohibit any kinds of religion due to the First Amendment, that you should not then, in theory, put religious things on license plates. And you're also supposed to not put political things on license plates. The problem is that people sneak stuff in. And I've seen all kinds of stuff that people have put in which clearly have them expressing a religious belief on a license plate. And how they got past the censors, I don't know. I know that People Magazine, but also other organizations such as Jalopnik, will occasionally run down the license plates that got rejected by different DMVs around the country. People try to sneak stuff through, and sometimes stuff will sneak through because it's really, really clever. It's usually dirty. But I can tell you that a couple years back in Michigan, there was a fight because somebody had gotten the license plate 4RU486. And you have to know that RU486 is a pharmaceutical, and it has to do with one of the big debates in America. And so to say that you are for RU486 indicates that you are on one side of that particular debate. And the person who applied for and got that license plate issued was driving around with it on her car. And somebody complained to the Secretary of State's office in Michigan and said, hey, I saw a political license plate that said 4RU486. And so they contacted her and said, we think we may have to withdraw your plate and give you either another personalized plate, something less offensive politically, or, something else of your choice. And she said, well, that's a funny thing because I looked up, and by the way, you can look up now plates that are available. And if you type it in and it's not available, there's a good chance you've issued it to somebody else. And she said, I looked up and somebody else has PROLIFE. And so it would appear to me that if you allow PROLIFE, which is one side of the debate, you should allow 4RU486 on the other side of the debate. So they actually let that one slide. But like I said, there have been others that didn't. But you can imagine in this day and age, the Me Too movement and whatnot, the plate GRABHER might be misinterpreted by some people. But, it's the guy's name. But there's a difference. Putting it on a government-issued plate is one thing that appears to make it look like the government's kind of endorsing it. On the other hand, if it was a bumper sticker, or he simply had it, etched in the glass on his back window of his truck or something, obviously you can do that all day long. You still might get some people who are upset with you in traffic, but at least they can't call the government and complain about you and get anything done about it, because that would be, of course, free speech, at least in America. Canada, again, I can't speak to Canadian laws. So this looks like it's going to be appealed one more time, and we'll see what happens. But I'm not terribly confident that Mr. GRABHER is going to get his plates back. There you go. Questions, comments, put them below. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and thanks, Bob, for passing along the great story.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Flat earthers? The only thing they have to fear is sphere itself.